bring that down to my level. Thanks very much for having me. Yeah, terrorism. Everyone's going, hang on, do I really need to know about this? Okay. Yes, we're going to make it something relevant to everyone here. Okay, we're going to talk about generally, if you are generally my unit, the Terrorism Protections Unit. I'll tell you shortly about what we do. But our general job is to look at crowded places and to keep them safe, to prepare, prevent, to make them more robust and make them safer, to stop a terrorist attack from occurring, or if it does happen, that minimises the impact. So that's one of the things we do. So we're going to look at how it works with you as RFS members. If you're working, I know some of the units here, when I was up at Tweed, we had the RFS and we worked with them at the big festivals, how it impacts you there, how it impacts the safety and security of your headquarters, your training facilities, wherever you work at, your bases, security of uniforms. We're going to talk about that. But also how you may respond if you're at a place where something happens. How should you react? Because that's some of the things we've learnt out of some of the incidents occurring worldwide. People go, oh, I didn't know what to do. So we're actually going to release something, and I'll show you some videos today that actually get released on Tuesday. And that's something that's not only for you. I want you to share it with your family, because you never know. Even though it's the very unlikely chance that you will be involved in something, we want you and your family to know what to do in the unlikely event that happens. So we'll pass that on to you. So, as I said, I'm from the Terrorism Protections Unit. So we don't protect terrorists, we protect you from terrorism, okay? And we're a unit that you don't know we exist, and we do a lot of stuff in the background. So we do vulnerability assessments for hallmark major events in Sydney. So New Year's Eve, at the moment we've got Vivid. So all those big ones are Vivid. We've gone out, we walked the ground about 3 or 4 months ago, and we do an assessment. We identify, we know what the risks are and what terrorists are doing around the world. So we'll look at their event site and actually identify any vulnerabilities we can find, and then we give them a list of this is the things you can do to mitigate that. So we're making your place safe. Some of those things are like putting hostile vehicle mitigation in. So we've had a couple of incidents worldwide, over in Germany and in New Orleans over Christmas, New Year, and then we've come and got involved in making sure there's hostile vehicle mitigation in place to keep all those people in that area safe. One thing I can say, Anzac Day. I believe a lot of the RFS people in and around the Greater Sydney area and also regional areas, you assisted us greatly by bringing your tenders, your vehicles in and using them and assisting with the hostile vehicle mitigation to keep that crowded place or the Anzac Day services statewide safe. So can I say thank you for anyone, Greater Sydney area, anyone who assists us, whether it's at those ones or events around the state. Thank you very much. You're helping keep those crowded places safe. We also look at vital critical infrastructure, so we go out and give advice in and around critical infrastructure to those owners of that to make sure that we protect that infrastructure. We give security advice to other government, New South Wales government and businesses. We're going out, how can they put their laid security in to keep them safe? We look after the regional airports. So I think there's about 11 around the state that we go out and we do assessments and have a look and then give them advice to not only their physical perimeter but the security people coming through. Don't think because you're in a country area, oh, it's not the big smoke. People may think that they can come through a regional airport, get on the plane and bring something into the bigger airport. So the regional areas are just as important as what Sydney's security is. We also run baseline protective security courses for police. So we actually go, all the police, we do have here Tamworth. I know one officer there, one of the inspectors we've had down on one of our courses. So it's just not the knowledge in Sydney. We're training all the police across the state so they've got some of this knowledge. We work with other state and Commonwealth agencies, the Australian New Zealand Counter-Terrorism Committee. They do have a number of documents ASIO, Home Affairs. We're keeping up to date with a lot of what's happening in and around the world, producing guidance material for you and the business community. So I've passed on some of that to Elka, and that may be released after Tuesday for people, so for your use. So we're going to talk about the current security environment, what's happening around the world and how does that impact us here in Australia. So on the 5th of August last year, our national terrorism threat level went from possible to probable. Now ASIO do that, they've got a panel that they look at all the circumstances, and what that means is there's credible intelligence assessed to represent a plausible scenario which indicates an intention and capability to conduct a terrorist attack in Australia. So there is a greater than 50% chance of an onshore attack or an attack planning in the next 12 months. Now, I don't want that to alarm you, we'll get more into that. The reasons behind that, there's a number of reasons. The trust in government's democratic process globally, they're eroding. People, domestic actors, driven by social political issues, their social grievances, and some of that they're provocative, inflammatory, especially online. It's starting to become a bit of a norm that it's out there, which we don't like. And social media, it's a very key driver to the volatility in regards to the counter-terrorism. So our primary threat in New South Wales, we have ideologically motivated violent extremism. So people, nationalist racists, the people with the swastikas, specific issues, anarchists, anti-Semitics, anti-Islam people, but the main one is the national and racist are seen as our threat, and also the religiously motivated violent extremism. So generally the Sunnis are a high threat. Doesn't mean those others aren't around, they are. The incident up in Queensland a couple of years ago at Wyambula, where the 2 police officers and the neighbour were killed, that was found out a few months later that it was a Christian violent extremism. So there is the other stuff, but it's what we're looking at. Now, the key word there on both those blue at the top line is violent. Okay, we're not saying that everyone who's Sunni or nationalist, racist or anti-Semitic is an issue. It's the word violent. Okay, there's no problem with people. We got anyone in here Queensland supporters? Yeah? Okay, we don't mind you being Queensland supporters. We don't mind if you're passionate about it. But at the end of the day, when that word violent comes in, that's when we get concerned. So everyone's entitled to their own opinions and what they want to follow, but when you bring violence into it, that's when we have some issues. Okay, so... And then we've got the new, that's come out since COVID, a new concern, and that is mixed, unclear and unstable. So mixed is people who have an individual or group exhibits a combination of elements of multiple. So they're basically, we're calling it a bit like I think it is our Assistant Commissioner called it the salad bar. They're coming in and instead of being specifically one ideology, they're just, I'll have a bit of this and I'll have a bit of this, and they'll just pick and choose what they want to suit themselves. Or unstable, where they have the ideology, it shifts. So this week I'm using these ideologies and next week I'm using those. And we're finding it's also mixed with a bit of mental health. And then also unclear, where when you speak to the people, they've got a belief system that appears incoherent. So we're trying to deal with those. So online radicalisation. So Mr Albanese identified back on the 5th of August when they raised the level, the online radicalisation of our youth as a key concern, and the exposure to this extremist content is impacting and influencing our young and vulnerable Australians. As we can see in the bottom circle, of the 8 terrorist-related attacks and disruptions that occurred in the 4 months. So that was the 4 months from April last year, when just before Bondi and Wakeley occurred, through till August when they raised the level, there had been 8 incidents or disruptions within that 4 months across Australia. The oldest perpetrator was 21, the youngest was 14. So it's showing that how they are being radical, that youth radicalisation via the internet. And whilst we say 8, people might think, oh, hang on, I'm worried about that. They're minor, and we'll talk about that in a second. So for us to have we're generally finding we're having lone actor attacks. So in the Western countries, we have a good security apparatus. We've got good investigations and tactics to stop these sophisticated attacks. So we're finding they're more lone actor, an individual who has these ideologies and wants to go out and do something for themselves. So a lot of the extremists in particular have a low threshold for what they consider to be successful. If they can go out and do a single stabbing and get media attention, such as the stabbing of the Bishop Emmanuel at Wakeley, they see that as a successful attack, even though they've just stabbed one person. So we're finding that they're moving to, instead of a big, sophisticated attack like 9/11, we're going back to the simple, easily acquired weapons. So go and get a truck, go and get a knife, go and get a car. Quite easy to do, it's low cost, easily acquired, and then they just target a crowded place, which I talked about earlier. Okay, crowded place, have as much impact as I can. Whether it's a permanent crowded place where a shopping centre, or it could be your football ground here in Tamworth. There's no one there most of the time, but then on a certain day, a Sunday afternoon, you've got a big crowd there and they may wish to do an attack there. And that's that lone actor. As you can see on the right-hand side, there's some of the paraphernalia that's online. That's a number of years ago, Rumanya. Don't go and look up that stuff, otherwise you might have a knock on the door from us. But it's just an example of some of that paraphernalia that is out there saying, go and get a truck, go and get a knife, go and do this, that is out there. The other option is the mixed mode attack, which is where they drive into they have a car, try and drive into the crowd, and then get out. They may have a knife, explosive. We had that example in Melbourne 2018 where a 30-year-old male drove into the CBD. He had some gas bottles. He opened up the gas bottles, lit that, hoping that it'd make the car explode. It didn't. It just caught on fire. But he got out, stabbed and killed someone before police were on scene, and shot before he was shot by the police. That's our threat environment. Not there to alarm you. It's just to make you alert. Nothing has changed significantly. They've raised it because of these issues. We want you to be alert. So if you see something, say something. What we find is a lot of the terrorist attack and the planning, they'll go out and do some reconnaissance, go and have a look, work out what crowded place they want to go to, where am I going to do this, how am I going to do it. They'll stand off and make observations. And generally when we look back on and investigate after an incident's occurred and we pull up the CCTV and make inquiries, we find, hang on, that stood out. Why didn't someone say something to us? We could have done that. We could have done something about it. And that's what we want you to be. That's the whole idea of this. Can you please be alert about it? If you see something, say something, whether it's at your RFS base where the trucks are and you found that someone's outside taking photos and you go, hang on, that's out of the ordinary. Or, hey guys, when's the base open? When's it locked up? When are people here? Hang on, do people normally say that? Report it up to the manager or whoever's appropriate up the line, up until even if it's something serious, you ring 000. But depending on what it is, if it's out of the ordinary, report it. We've had some incidents like that in other areas, airports, where people, hang on, how many, asking at the check-in counter when they check, oh, how many security you have? When do they start? When do they finish? And you go, that's strange. And there was a few different things like that. They all reported to the airport manager, and all of a sudden 4 little bits of jigsaw put together saying, no, something strange is going on here. Okay, they reported to the police, and luckily they were able to find that person, and it was some mental health issues. It wasn't terrorism, but we'd rather us get notified and find that it isn't terrorism and make sure that it isn't a threat. So don't think, oh, hang on, this is too small, I don't want to report it. We'd rather you report it. I'd rather 99 times you report something that is nothing to make sure we capture that one time that it is something. So please be alert, don't be alarmed. So we talked about those 8 incidents that occurred last year. Most of those were active armed offender. Okay, whether they're terrorist or not, it doesn't matter at the time for us. If we know we've got an active armed offender, whether it's terrorism, whether it's mental health, whatever the reason, we're going to respond the same way as police, and we hope you respond. It doesn't matter the background of it. So an active armed offender is an offender who is actively engaged in killing or attempting to kill people and who demonstrated their intention to continue to do so while having access to potential victims. So those incidents, there is generally resolved in an average time of 15 minutes from commencement, so it's rather quick. Whether it's police intervention or whether it's crowd intervention, depending on who is there, depends on what type of weapon they have. Often happens in crowded places, often evolves rapidly, so it goes from nothing to something very quickly, and it also ends suddenly. The offender generally continues to kill and injure people until confronted by law enforcement or other people, but generally law enforcement. And unfortunately, it's not resolved through container negotiation. So we do have guidance documents. So the Australian New Zealand Counter-Terrorism Committee have come up with some guidance material. We've got about 6 or 7 different guidance material, depending on what it is. This one's specific for active armed offender. There's others for hostile vehicle mitigation, some for explosives, some for chemical weapons, some for hostile reconnaissance. But this one's the relevant for the active armed offender, and it gives an increased understanding of the active armed offender threat and how you can prevent, prepare and respond and recover from those. So if you work in a crowded place, I recommend that. All these documents are available on the National Terrorism website. You can just Google that and you can download it. They're not special restricted documents. So as I spoke, we escape, hide and tell. That is our foremost response to an active armed offender incident. Available on the National Security website. So this PowerPoint, the next 4 slides are available. So if any of your areas you want to run some training, it is available. So firstly, for you or your family, if you do find yourself that very unlikely position that you're involved in an active armed offender incident, we want you, if there isn't a safe escape route, to escape. Leave, get out of there. Get away from the danger as quickly and as quietly as possible. Tell others not to enter the area, but only if it doesn't put you in danger. We don't want you standing there putting yourself in danger by warning people. Take your mobile phone with you. Don't let your belongings impede you. If you've got a whole heap of shopping bags, leave them behind. Your life, your welfare is more important than the shopping. And move as far away as the danger area as possible. Hide. If you're unable to escape, we want you to hide. Stay out of sight, silence your phones, move away from the doors, remain quiet. Try and put a sturdy physical barrier between you and the offender. Help others, but only if it doesn't put yourself at risk. And constantly review the situation and options based on the information available. And we saw some of the, I think it was the footage from whether it was Bondi or there was Westfield's Marion, Adelaide, where people were coming here into the shops and they put the shutters down and everyone hid. So that's what we want, people hiding, keeping out of the way. And then tell. When it's safe to do so, we want you to dial 000 when it's safe to do so, and give us as much information that you can to help us. You may be asked to stay on the line, provide further information that the operator requests. So depending on what you can see, if you might be hidden, but you have a clear line of sight of an offender, they may say, can you stay on the line and tell us what's happening, where are they? Because if I'm responding as a police officer, I'd like to know which entrance. If it's a shopping centre, yeah, go in the big W entrance, go in whichever entrance is most suitable for me to do my job. So these are the 3 videos that we're releasing that hopefully you'll start seeing over the next number of months, 12 months, just to advise people. We don't want people alarmed going, oh, hang on, this is all rolling out. We're just being proactive and saying, listen, in the very unlikely chance that you do get involved, this is what you need to do. So we've got 3 different videos depending on what's suitable for the place. Whether it's a shopping centre, they might not want the 30 seconds. There's a 30-second video, a 15-second video, and also a 6-second video, depending on that.
The chances of being caught up in a hostile attack are low. But if one happens near you, there are 3 things you need to do. If you see a safe route, move quickly and quietly away from danger. Stay out of sight and silence your phones. Call the police by dialing 000 when it's safe. A safety message from the New South Wales Police Force. Know what to do in a hostile attack. Move quickly and quietly away from danger. Stay out of sight and silence your phone. Call the police by dialing 000 when it's safe. A safety message from the New South Wales Police Force. Know what to do in a hostile attack.
There you go. So they're the 3 different options. Elka's got that on a USB stick, and I think I'll be giving it to the RFS headquarters at Olympic Park as well, and they can get distributed on a needs basis to putting it out to the people you work with, but also your families. Very important that information gets shared. So what do we need when we're prior to attending? We want as much information as possible. How many offenders, description of offenders, any weapons so we know what we're up against, last known location, and the closest street for any emergency services who may be coming to access. What will assist us? So if you happen to be in a rural area or in an area and you can assist us, and you're one of the security that work there, having a radio, having some communication so that someone may be able to point us in the right direction, a map of the building, or CCTV access. So if we know where the person, okay, do we know exactly where they are? A lot harder in rural areas, but there may be someone, if you may be in a shop, being able to talk to 000, telling where the person is, and the 000 operator is telling us directly on the radio where the person is. So it greatly assists us. Now, our response, we'll get there, and our first priority is to stop the killing. Okay, so there is an active armed offender in there killing people. We will go straight to that threat. So some people have seen some videos, or they've seen, and the police, we're coming in and there's people with injuries and that, we're stepping over and we're keeping going. We will not stop to treat those people whilst there is killing going on. We will go straight to that threat to stop that threat. Okay, once we have stopped that killing, then we will go and treat and evacuate and work with the other emergency services to treat and evacuate the injured, and then move into that crime scene and investigation period. So if you do see videos and they go, hang on, why'd the cops do that? We have number one, whilst we might stop and save one person, the person's then still killing 4 or 5. So we need to go direct to that threat. So the primary activities, if you do get involved, detect the attack, make a rapid initial assessment, call and update the police and emergency services, alert personnel and members of the public. So depending on what situation, is there a PA system? How can you communicate to other people in that area? Decide whether to instigate a lockdown depending on the size of your location, and advise senior management. Secondary is the alert your neighbours, keep personnel and members of the public updated. So if we have got a lockdown over a current building and you're waiting for the police, if you can, notify them. Yeah, the cops are on the way, you need to stay there. It may be some time. Okay, depending on how long it may take, the size, and how long it takes the police to clear and stop that threat. Make detailed assessment, direct frontline personnel, and record events and decisions. So if you have made decisions and put lockdowns in, write that down. And security culture, this is an important one as well. This is what's going to help us. So we do have security systems. What we're talking about is the other side of it. It's the implementation and use of that by employees. So you might have CCTV, you've got uniforms, you've got security of uniforms, you've got the car keys, where are you locking those? And access control, how do we get in? How many of you have got keypads? So some locations may have keys. Do any have the thing where I put in the code to get into the door? Okay. Good trick for country areas. How many of you have the postcode as the door lock code? Okay, doesn't take much for people to realise that, and then you got all of a sudden out of towners. So we'll mention that one as we go through. So not having your postcode as the find another something specific to your area, and changing it regularly, because obviously you've got staff that come, staff that go, and not having that. So security culture is that set of values shared by everyone in the organisation that determines how we're expected to think and approach. So what we do and whether we do it right. It comes from the bosses to implement, enforce, and to lead by example. Because if they don't do it, then everyone doesn't do it, and then what's the point of having the security systems in the first place? It's everybody's responsibility. So it protects us while we perform our role, deters hostiles from accessing restricted areas of our workplace, ensures we have the equipment and facilities to undertake their work. We don't want to get in, we're heading out to it, we've just got called in for a job, and you turn up and hang on, someone's been in and accessed the shed and we can't use the truck, they've wrecked everything. So ensuring you've got good security. Promote good security practice to the community. Apathy. So why don't we have a good security culture? People not interested in complying. Task force. Oh, I'm too busy. I can't worry about that. Why do I need to worry about that door? She'll be right, mate. Okay, it's a bit of our no worries. She'll be right. Unfortunately, that's our Aussie culture, unfortunately. Time poor, I'm in too much of a hurry to worry about that. Lazy or unwilling to work or use the energy to do it. And I did have an extra one there, and it's all about enforcing it. So having the bosses actually set and say, no, we've got to do it. So enforcing it not only from the bosses down, but then setting that culture within. So if you've got new workers coming in, yeah, mate, it might be minor, but in the big scheme of things, it is important. Okay, setting that culture for when people come in. I went to, normally our swipe cards getting into a building, one person swipes in, we all walk in. I was down at in the city centre, near the Federal Police building, and I was going to do a presentation there, waiting out the front, and I noticed 7 of the Federal Police come back with their coffees. They went to the front door, and every single one of them, swipe, went in. They all didn't walk through it. The next one, swipe, wait for the door. They all individually, and I'm going, that's really good security culture. Having to wait, yeah, it took an extra 1 minute for all 7 to get in, but they know exactly who's in, who's out. and that each one of those people, so the security watching go, well, has someone just tailgated through and shouldn't be there? No, they all individually use their cards. So some poor examples of security culture. We've seen security doors held open by a chair before. I can say that chair was there for 3 years. And I went to that location and saw it, and I got rid of it, went and put it out in the car park. I came in the next day, guess what? It was back in and jamming it open. So that chair ended up in the skip bin, and each time I visited that location, there's no chair there anymore. But it was just getting used to doing that. Similarly, what about that roller shutter? A witch's hat was left there. 12 minutes it was there. We've had other people go in and out that, and it wasn't until one car's going, why is this open? That shouldn't be open, that they actually got the roller shutter put down. So if it is a secure location, making sure it is secure. Don't leave it. Everyone just assumes someone else would do it. So doors left open, boom gates. Tailgating, 2 types of tailgating. You've got one example there, people walking through. So if you've got secure, making sure people will wait. If I'm a hostile, I'll keep an eye on. I'd be sitting off watching, going, who's going through that door? Who's letting someone follow them through? I can do that. Yep, great. I'll follow that person through and get through. Okay, so it's making sure if I go through our building, extra secure, but we'll get in the lift, we swipe to go to our level. And if someone's in that lift, especially when I first started working there, I don't know the faces. And I'd go up, and if I've swiped and someone's then getting off and I go, I don't know who you are, I'd let them go off because I know the next couple of doors they go through, they got swiped. So after you, and if you're really supposed to be in there, you'll have a swipe card and you can swipe. Or if he goes left, I'll go right. And then you work it out from there. So I'm making sure that people don't tailgate me in. The other tailgating, vehicles, when you're going through a checkpoint. Did everyone see on the news a few days ago over in Liverpool in England, that vehicle that got caught in the crowd? He actually tailgated an ambulance through the checkpoint. Whether he thought he was trying to shortcut through, I don't know the exact circumstances, but he got himself into that location trying to cut through. We've had that at some of our other big events. I know Mardi Gras, we have our traffic management plan to keep people out. And people go, hang on, I just want to get across there, and they think they can slip through the traffic management plan before they hit different areas. And you go, no, it's in there for a reason. So making sure people don't tailgate in a vehicle. So through the checkpoint, I stop, wait for the roller shutter or the boom gate to come down, then move off so people don't tailgate me through. Vetting visitors or contractors, people turning up. Yeah, I've come to do some work on the shed, and they turn up with a high-vis vest and a ladder. I suppose it's a lot better for you, especially in the country. You know most of your contractors or who would come and do it, but if you've got someone who's turned up and you're not aware of it, actually checking, vetting who they are they actually supposed to be there? Quite interesting. Going and we've done some YouTube searching on this, and so many options how to get into there's a music festival. I used to have that in this presentation, where someone just put on a high-vis vest, grabbed the garbage bin, walked up to the front gates, picking up rubbish, had his mate in the garbage bin, talked to security about picking up rubbish, and then rolled the garbage bin through, and they both got through without any accreditation. And that music festival was very embarrassed by that. So it was just quite easy, not checking any accreditation, putting a fluoro vest on. Quite interesting and entertaining. If you want to go on YouTube, have a look at that. There's more access cards, making sure if you lose an access card, I'm not sure what different facilities you have with access cards. We have 2-factor authentication on some of ours, where not only we swipe, we have to put a fingerprint in. Some of the critical infrastructure we go and visit, swipe the card and also fingerprint, or swipe the card, iris scan. So it's doing multi-level. So for me to get into my office, I've got 2 different security cards depending on what doors I go through, and one of them has PIN codes as well. So it's making sure, so if I do drop my card, Kylie here can't pick it up and go, I'll get in. She doesn't know what that second layer of authentication is. So think about that, or changing your codes on door codes if you do have them. What's our issue with this one? He's got it hanging there, easily grabbed or taken, but it's also replicated. Someone can come up, take a photo. So we have had incidents of hostiles at music events that they've done their background, they've done their reconnaissance, they've identified what the security wear. They've gone out and bought matching shirts, matching colour. They'd identified from that, that's what colour lanyard they've got. Taken, as they've gone past security, taken a photo of the security ID, and they've basically gone and made all that stuff up. And there was one over in Perth where they basically got through all the layers of security, down to the security guard who was outside. It was one of the high-profile performers, and got to that last layer of security. And he was talking his way through, and the security saying, well, who are you? Why do you want to get through? Oh, yeah, no, I've got approval from Joe Bloggs. He's the head of security. Little did old mate know that it was Joe Bloggs who was on that last layer for security. So he was questioning and going, hang on, I never... And then when he realised he was up, they chased him outside, got him. But basically, if it wasn't Joe Bloggs on that thing, he probably would have got through. It wasn't... Don't believe it was hostile. He just wanted to get in and see this performer, get into the green room with the performer. But it just showed how easy it was for him to do that reconnaissance, having a look, people having cards, take photos, and getting in. So, security of your card, making sure you have it in your pocket. Any issues there? We see it all the time, especially that right-hand one. And okay, there's 4 digits there. I reckon, just off the top of my head, I reckon the code's 1970, because it's normally someone's year of birth. So without even having to try all the 4-digit orders, I reckon I can do that one pretty quickly. Uniforms left in vehicles, so especially your uniforms. I spoke to some of you yesterday when I got here about especially our festivals up north when I was up at Tweed. We did have someone who was an ex-member, still had uniform, he ended up purchasing RFS vehicles, even though it had a different logo, and he was, some of you probably know who the person is, but basically because of the security of uniforms. You don't know who the hostile are, what they do, it's about access to that stuff. So uniforms, making sure they're secure, if they do get taken, making sure you're reporting it. Postcodes, mentioned that one, or the code left underneath. High-vis vests are a really good one to get you in places. Good security practice. We want you to shut the doors and gates. Make sure they're locked properly. Security of your access cards and your personal security. Vetting your visitors, making sure they are the right people getting in. Having situational awareness of what is going on. Don't let them just talk you into certain things. Make sure you're aware, hang on, I don't know about it. Let me ring the boss to make sure you are right to come in and do what you're saying you're doing. Communicating. If you know, like if you've got CCTV cameras at your place of work and some of them aren't working, report it. I've had that at a police station as well. Oh no, that doesn't work. I go, well, have you reported it? No. How long's it been broken? 3 months. Well, how do you expect us to fix it if you don't tell us about it? So reporting. Work out who's known and unknown. So if you don't know the person in and around the workplace, challenge. Excuse me, can I help you? I don't know why you're here. Can I help you? Your peer lost, or what are you doing in the secure? Are you really supposed to be in the secure area? Have you got ID cards? So if you're handing out visitor lanyards, making sure people are actually wearing the visitor lanyards. Vetting your contractors, make sure they're actually supposed to be there. Security of your car parks. White level inspections. That challenge culture I just spoke of. If you're not sure, ask. Challenge the person. Welfare change of circumstances. If people go through a hard time, just check on them. You don't know how they may react, especially if they've, I know they've just stood me down, I'm not allowed to go to the shed. Check on their welfare. Especially emergency services, the security of your uniform, Key and access control. So where are the keys to different facilities or the cars? Are the keys left in the vehicles? Okay. Makes it easy if I break into your shed, I can then go, okay, let's take the vehicle. How long might it be if you turn up to the shed and one car's gone? Oh, is that supposed to be there or not? Oh, hang on, someone says probably taken that. Okay. How long would it take you to realise that it actually has been stolen? People tailgating you through boom gates, vetting your contractors and visitors, and don't trust that high-vis vest. Some of the last things I just want to mention, cyber security considerations, getting SMSs from unknown people. If you don't know who the person is and can't confirm it, don't trust. Don't open links in those SMSs. And there's some very good ones coming out where you actually believe, especially banking ones, don't trust. Especially if they give you a link, click here to go to your account. No, because all you're doing is putting your username and password in on a fake site. They then go, okay, I can go to the Commonwealth Bank and now put that username password in and I'm into their account. So watch the emails and attachments, who you're receiving them from and what they're asking you to do. Don't follow the hyperlinks. If they're saying you've got to update your details, don't use their hyperlink. Go straight to your own. USBs, be aware if someone gives you a USB, what's on it. Okay, if you're family, friends and you're doing photos, yeah, that's probably safe. But if it's a work-related one, be aware of that. Cold calls to confirm your private details. Hi, yeah, it's Mel from the tax department. Can you give me these details? No. Downloading apps or files from people that you don't know. Passwords, security of your passwords, changing them, where you record them so people that can't access. And be aware, free Wi-Fi access. Some locations, shopping centres, airports and that, they'll give you free access to Wi-Fi, but you are actually opening some back doors in your phone that they can get sensitive information off your phones. So be very careful. If you only use those free Wi-Fis if you really, really have to. And look at your social media, all your security settings, who can see what, locking your profile down. The important bit, as I said, get back to that, be alert, not alarmed. We want you to report suspicious behaviours. So if you do see something, say something, report it to us. If it's not that out of the if it's out of the ordinary, reporting it through your local channels, see whether anything else has been happening, ask the rest of your staff. That's where the manager can then start putting an email, oh, hang on, this has happened, anyone else had the same, and all of a sudden you might get a few more and go, there's a pattern here, something's going on, and that's where you may report. So have a good communication with your local police, open those channels, have a good relationship, build the partnerships with them. So you as the person, I don't work in your areas, I don't know what's suspicious or not, you guys do. Everyone has a role, so don't think, oh, hang on, I'm just the lowly person, I'm only brand new. It might be out of the ordinary for you. Raise it with the experienced people in the area, see whether they will know. Making sure training and education know what to look for, and a small piece of information. I've got a plethora of different scenarios where that little bit of information came through. People say, oh, I didn't know whether to mention it, but, and it has been a vital bit of evidence. If you are reporting a recording, what you saw, when you saw it, take note of that, when it occurred, because that's fine, you remember it now, but in a month's time, 2 months' time, when we something come back or the police come back and say, oh, can you give us a statement on that? Oh, hang on, oh, I can't remember. If you just make some notes, put some notes on your phone. What we're also looking for in red there, searchable entity. Number plates. Or if the person, yeah, I saw him doing that, he was taking lots of photos, but he was sitting at the cafe and he bought a couple of coffees. So if you give us a certain day and a certain time, hopefully we can go back to CCTV. Yes, that person swiped and tapped their credit card at a certain time. We can then back capture and go through there. Or they were sitting on the phone, they made a phone call at 10:15 and they were on the phone for about 5 minutes. If it was very important, there may be ways for us to then try and track down certain phone calls through certain providers. So having those searchable entities do assist us. If it is important or urgent, 000, ringing 000. Not so urgent, through Crime Stoppers, or if you believe it's got to do with national security, the National Security Hotline. Last document, this is a personal security guidance document. Now, I've handed some to Elko. She's got this document online. It is being released on Tuesday. We identify it's not specific to terrorism, but we're the unit that's put it out. And it goes through your personal security. It's just a checklist. And you might read it and go, oh, this is simple. Why are they giving me such simple, basic information? But we're the ones that go out and take reports of crime, and a lot of this stuff is not being adhered to. So your home security, keeping front doors locked, locking windows, CCTV, is it turned on, is it work? And you might come through to some of my people in my office and go, oh yeah, I never lock the back door either. Okay, it's some of these basic security principles that we're putting out. Not only home security, home deliveries, things for your kids, when you're out walking or running, when you're travelling in your vehicles, work security, cyber security and social media. So we've got those documents. We can send that out electronically for you, just to go through, just to refresh and go, yeah, I've been a bit slack with that and I need to just pull my socks up, and that just may stop you being a victim of crime, to assist you. Got some time for questions. I'm not sure what the time is, whether we've got 5 minutes, but we can do that. Finally, just I did say thank you for your help earlier with your supply of the rural fire trucks. Can I just say thank you also? I know anyone here from Dubbo, I know that the police, we're assisting. You guys help us out. You've got your facility out there and the police are using that. We've got our training facility nearby. So thank you very much for sharing your facilities with us. And thank you on behalf of all the police and other emergency services. As I say, Leah and Mark, we've worked at Blues Fest for how many years? A lot. A long, long time. And it's a pleasure working, having that interagency, having that personal relationship with you people when we're doing it, because it just makes it easier when something does go get busy. We know who we can trust, and we know, yeah, can we have some help? Yeah, bang, we've got it. And it makes it easier for you and for us. So thank you for everything you do and helping us out. Thank you.
Thanks, Mal. We have got the opportunity to take a couple of questions. If you can, throw your hands up in the air, we'll get a microphone to you. Wait for the microphone as well. Did you see one?
Yep.
One over there?
Yeah. You know, if I don't know the answer, I'll make it up.
This is an easy one. This is personal opinion. Just looking, say, at the Melbourne attack where the young fit fella took out the offender there, and at in Sydney at the junction there where the young fit fella was throwing garbage bins at the offender to slow him down and whatever. I look at that and I go, yeah, good on you, mate, you beauty. And then I kind of go, oh, shit, you shouldn't be doing that. At the same time, what's your thoughts on that? Just your personal...
Our advice is the escape, hide, tell. However, we know it used to be two reactions, which was fight and flight. And we know that there will be people, when incidents like that happen, that they will fight, they will go and protect. If I can see something going over there, I'd probably be the same. As much as it says escape, hide, tell, I will go and put myself in personal danger to protect other people. And everyone's different. So you'll find that some will fight, some will flight. We've found 2 more Fs. We've got fight, flight. We've got freeze. Some people, they just don't know what to do and they will freeze, and even though someone's coming at them, they won't move. And unfortunately, we've also got the 4th F, which is film, because we'll get our phone and we will go like this and forget about our own personal danger, because guess what? We're live streaming it. So for that fight, I can't do that. That's up to whoever the person is. Everyone's different. It will occur, and yes, those incidents have saved many lives. And I commend those people, but yeah, I can't recommend that people do that. So it will happen. We can't do it, and yes, we do have heroes amongst us that do certain things. Yeah, the police turned up for Bondi. Amy did that. I know Amy, and she just said, "Hey, I'm just doing what we do. We get trained for it. We've got the equipment to do that." And yet there's members of the public who aren't trained. They don't have that personal safety gear to do that, and they'll put their lives on the line, and we thank them for doing that. But I've got to say, escape hide tell is the message from my side. Yep, one over that side.
Sorry, if you don't mind, just wait for the microphone. Thanks.
In regards to the same question on the basis of the law, if a person from the general public decides to try and stop the offender from incapacitating more people, when it comes down to the investigation side of it and the use of same force, what is the general public member going to receive in the court of law if they happen to do that?
It's all going to depend on circumstance, but similarly with the police, there's legislation that basically says we can use reasonable force. And similarly with a member of the public using reasonable force, you do have, everyone's got the, under section 99 of the Law Enforcement Police Powers and Responsibilities Act, you can make a citizen's arrest and you'd have to use reasonable force. So if they're just carrying on and you go, oh, hang on, and pull out a gun, that's obviously not reasonable. So as long as you're showing that you're reasonable, and with this day and age with cameras everywhere, it'll most likely going to be videotaped, and as long as you can justify what you did in those circumstances was reasonable, that's what a reasonable person would do. That will be up to the courts to decide whether that's what we go, well, hang on, I thought it was reasonable. It doesn't matter whether I think it's reasonable, it depends on whether the magistrate or the judge deems it is what is a reasonable person would do.
Got a question down here, this will have to be the last one.
Last one.
Hi, thanks very much for your talk. It was really interesting. I'm from the Northern Rivers I'm from the Northern Rivers part of New South Wales, and we get the occasional sovereign citizen. Are they terrorists? Are they nutters? Are they mentally ill? What are they?
Well, I wouldn't call them terrorists. Okay, they've got their own ideology. So as I first spoke about the threat environment, they've got a certain ideology, and that they live to. But however, if they come across us, if they're driving a vehicle and they don't have a licence because they don't believe they need to have one, we will treat them as a person who doesn't have a driver's licence. We don't, because they're a sovereign citizens, we'll do something different. No, we'll treat them as, okay, what offences are they occurring? Just because they are saying they're a sovereign citizen, they don't need it. Well, sorry, the law says you do need a licence. As I said earlier, well, if that's their ideology and that's the only issue they're doing, then we'll treat it on a case-by-case basis as to if they're breaking the law or they're not breaking the law. All right.